G'day. My name's Indy, VK2 X-Ray Bravo, and I'm going to do something a little different today. Everything I do is a little different, let's be honest. Anyway, I want to comment on something that I've noticed a fair bit of lately, and that is, and it's particularly amongst younger hams and people new to the hobby, and this expression, sad hams. And it's said in a derogatory manner about old folks who get on 80 metres, 40 metres, whatever, and my back hurts, I had to have a knee replacement, whatever. Or they talk about the weather, or they talk about their radios. Well, guess what? First of all, each and every one, and people are saying that they're driving people away from the hobby. These young people are saying that. Well, first of all, a couple of things. You don't think that young people have got the mortgage today on being dissatisfied with the behaviour of a previous generation. I went through that with the previous lot. They went through it with the previous lot. Sometimes you become set in your ways, and that's all there is to it. Anyway, I digress, and I'm going to take these damn headphones off because they're bloody annoying. So, I'm going to read out to you something that I wrote, and then I'm going to add to it. And I might make a commentary in the middle of it. That's if I can see it. I've been an amateur for over 4 decades. A reoccurring theme I've noticed among a disproportionately high number of hams is that many are socially inept, at best, and very many are absolutely bordering on or incapable of normal social activities, which is why they invested their time in the hobby in the first place. Think about it. I swear to God that very many are undiagnosed full-on autistic. Now, by that I don't mean that there are levels of autism, rather that it manifests differently in different folks. And these folks are essentially uncommunicative, and so they stick with the sad hams dialogue as they have little else. Truthfully, I think that many of the sad hams that so many berate as being to the detriment of the hobby these days fall into that category. Whether it is hardwiring in them, or hardwired in them, or whether it is developed over time, which can happen. Well, that's all a moot point. The fact is, they've become like that over time. Now, before I get off this little hobby horse, I honestly believe that some of the reactions I see from young people in the hobby of these old fossils is tantamount to bullying. Now, I hear all you young people saying, bullying's bad, whatever. Don't do it yourself. If you keep your backyard clean, you don't have to worry about the other fellow's backyard. Now, I can relate to people having difficulty with maintaining eye contact or even having conversations with other people. Because I once struggled enormously with that. And I then overcompensated, and even today my very direct mannerisms are confused as being staring. They're not. They're merely a habit developed over time to address my former lack of eye contact. So, I have some of the issues that these sad hams have got. I may be a sad ham. But remember something. Those blokes have earned their aches and pains, and the ladies too. And many of them have been through things that you people will never even imagine in your lives. An awful lot still are returned Vietnam vets. And there are others that have lived and worked in extreme conditions that you cannot imagine. Beyond that, a lot of these people have been in the forefront of this hobby. They've developed the very things that you are now using, and you're putting dirt on these people for the way they behave. They don't have to prove anything to anybody, and sometimes they're abrupt. You might ask a question of them and say, you know, how do you do such and such? And you may get a response like, read the flaming manual. I remember getting that from an awful lot of young people when I was first playing with Linux, RTFM. So you sometimes get people that will, when they do explain things, they go in too big a depth. Well, I'm sorry, but if somebody's explaining something to you and you're not understanding, say, hang on a minute, can you just back up a bit? And most people, not all, but most people will do, will help you out in that regard. Honest to goodness, they will. And I've got a little story to be telling you. When I first came in the hobby 40 odd years ago, I was what was called a novice here in Australia. We were very, very restricted, far more restricted than the foundation call sign holders are today here, and the technicians in the States and so on. We had 3.525 to 3.625 on 80 metres, full stop, no more. We only had SSB and a CW, no other mode. We had a proportion of 15 metres, I think from memory it was 21 to 21.2. And again, nothing but SSB and CW. We had a big proportion of 10 metres, and that was it. No digital, no nothing. Then some time later, they introduced that the lowly novices like me would be able to have access to 2 metre FM and 70 centimetres FM, which was fabulous. It opened a whole new world for me because I drive a truck for a living. I'm very time poor. And I was struggling. There's no way in the world that I could study like a normal person can study. I couldn't go to classes. I didn't have the time to attend classes, and even when I did have time to attend the class might be in Sydney and I'd be in Melbourne, 1,000 kilometres away. So none of that was going to work. I couldn't do it via correspondence because, I was doing 16, 17-hour days. When I knocked off, I'd had enough. So the only way I could do it was by driving around in my truck at work, picking up the microphone and calling people up and asking them the dumbest questions. Oh, I'm embarrassed when I think back. Just stupid questions. But these people with infinite patience guided me through until probably after about 3 or 4 months, with no formal study whatsoever, and that's not because I'm smart, because I'm not, but with no formal study whatsoever, and just with the guidance of these people and with them answering my dumb questions, I was able to attain enough knowledge to sit for and pass the full core theory, which meant I had a combined call. And then later on I did the higher speed Morse, and I got the what is now called, whatever the hell it's called now, because it's changed names a dozen times, but it's a full call here in Australia. It's more or less equivalent to the American extra class and whatever. I don't know what it is in the other countries. It doesn't matter. And I attained that purely through the help of sad hams. Those people have already brought people into the hobby hand over fist. Perhaps the time has come to pass the baton on to you young people, and don't whinge and bitch about what they do or they don't do. They've earned the right to be whatever they want to be. Do your bit. That's all you got to do. do your bit. And please, no more derogatory comments. It is absolutely unnecessary, and I'm sure that you wouldn't want to cop it yourself. I really do. And don't worry, there's been plenty of opportunities where I could have been extremely derogatory towards young hams who had just come into the hobby. I choose not to. The choice is yours. Make it a good one.